The xenoarchaeologist's claws trembled as the holographic warning flickered to life. Etched in the ruins of the long-dead Velnari, the message was simple, repeated in a dozen dead languages. Asterisk, do not scan the humans. Asterisk. A chill ran through Scholar Zyrus' exoskeleton. This was the seventh civilization they'd uncovered with the same warning. Always the same words. Always the same fear. The Zenthari Collective's science vessel Curiosity's Price drifted near the edge of contested space when the derelict appeared, a human warship, its hull pockmarked by ancient battles, drifting silently. Captain Vrail ignored the warnings. The humans were young, primitive. What could their ships possibly hide? Full scan, Vrail ordered. The sensors hummed. For a moment, nothing seemed amiss. The ship was old, its systems degraded, its weapons cold. Then the first crew member screamed. Engineer Tesk collapsed, her four eyes wide, her mandibles clicking in erratic distress. "They're inside the walls," she hissed. "They're watching." The ship's AI logged no intruders. No life signs. But the crew saw them anyway, shadows moving where there were none, whispers in languages none of them knew, yet somehow understood. Navigator Krell tore at his own carapace, shrieking about the dead men in the wires. His claws left deep gouges in the console before he was sedated. Captain Vrail accessed the scan data. The human ship systems were unlike anything in the galaxy. Not just code, not just AI, something alive, woven into the very circuitry. Patterns that shouldn't exist. Thoughts that weren't supposed to think. Then the hallucinations reached the bridge. Vrail saw them, figures in tattered uniforms, their faces stretched into impossible grins, their eyes hollow yet burning. One leaned in, its breath cold against the captain's chiton, and spoke. Asterisk. You shouldn't have looked. Asterisk. The Curiosity's Price fled, its crew broken. Tesk never spoke again. Krell gouged out his own eyes. Vrail's reports were buried, labeled asterisk, classified, mimetic hazard. Asterisk. But word spread. The Velnari had known. The Drathaxi had known. Now the Zenthari knew too. Scanning human warships wasn't just dangerous. It was suicide. The galaxy had rules. Ancient civilizations rose and fell by them. War was calculated, fleets were predictable, and death was final. Then came humanity. Their ships were crude, ugly slabs of metal and wrath, held together by stubbornness and spite. No elegant plasma arrays, no shimmering void shields. Just brute force kinetics and enough armor to laugh at physics. Yet no sane species engaged them lightly. The Zenthari incident should have been enough. But curiosity was a universal trait. Defector code Echo 7, former engineer of the UNS Dread's Resolve, sat in a Kirik's interrogation chamber, his smile unsettling in its ease. "You want to know why scanning our ships melts your brains?" He chuckled. "It's simple. We don't use AI." The Kirik's inquisitor's antennae twitched. "Impossible. No species achieves FTL without." "Oh, we've got computers," Echo 7 interrupted. "But an AI. No. Too predictable. Too clean." He leaned forward, his voice dropping. "See, when a human dies in battle, we don't just bury them. We burn them into the ship's core. Every thought, every scream, every last fuck you they never got to say, it all stays in the metal." Silence. The Kiriks had no concept of this. The dead were recycled, their matter repurposed. But this. "You imprint minds into your vessels?" "Not just minds." Echo 7 grinned. "Asterisk souls. Asterisk ever heard of a feedback loop between quantum consciousness and raw human hate?" "Yeah." "That's what your scanners hit. A dead Marine doesn't care about logic. He just knows you're not supposed to be there." Records from the Curiosity's Price backed his claim. The hallucinations weren't random, they matched human military archives. Dead soldiers. Lost battles. The faces were real. The Galactic Council convened in panic. "This is abomination," the Thul High Ascendant shrieked. "To bind the departed is to defy cosmic law." The human ambassador didn't flinch. "Your cosmic law, let the hive eat 3 of your colonies last cycle. Ours fights back." Debate raged. Some called it sacrilege. Others, desperation. The Ixian matriarchy, oldest of the elder races, simply asked one question. How many? The ambassador paused. How many what? How many dead, the matriarch clarified, her voice hollow, are inside one of your warships? The answer sent ice through the chamber. Depends on the ship. Silence. The Dread's resolve? 5,000. The Iron Requiem? 12. The Silent Morning. Don't ask about the morning, the ambassador muttered. Even we don't scan that one. The Kyrix left that day with two truths. Humanity had turned grief into a weapon. And the galaxy had only one rule left. Never look inside. The Korvax Dominion had studied the warnings. They had dissected every report, analyzed every shred of data from the Zenthari disaster. Their conclusion was simple. Fear was weakness. So when the Grand Admiral's war fleet arrived at the edge of Sol, they came with strict orders. Destroy the human ships without scanning them. No exceptions. The human defense force was laughably small. 3 aging battleships, their hulls scarred from forgotten wars, drifting like ghosts at the edge of the minefield. The Korvax outnumbered them 20-1. Pathetic, sneered Sub-Commander Dravix. They don't even have active shielding. Grand Admiral Korthak wasn't so sure. The first volley should have ended it. Korvax plasma lances could core a planet. But when the beams struck the lead human vessel, the Iron Requiem, something happened. The ship twisted. Not evaded. Not dodged. Twisted, like space itself recoiled around it. Sensors registered the hit. Yet the Requiem emerged unscathed, its guns already locking. Impossible! Dravix hissed. Their inertial systems shouldn't. The Requiem fired. Not energy. Not missiles. Just solid slugs, dumb metal hurled at relativistic speeds. Primitive. Brutal. And alive. The Korvax flagship's shields flared, then screamed. Not a mechanical alert. A voice. Dravix's console exploded in static, a face flickering in the distortion, a human, eyes hollow, mouth moving in silent rage. The image lasted a second. Long enough. The slug punched through. Chaos erupted. Korvax ships reported system failures, phantom signals, targeting solutions that dissolved mid-calculation. The human vessels moved wrong, jerking, shuddering, as if guided by something that didn't obey physics. Korthak barked orders. Disable their engines. Board them if you have to. A boarding pod latched onto the Requiem's hull. The feed lasted 8 seconds. Korvax warriors in powered armor stormed the corridors, only to find them wrong. Bulkheads bent at angles that hurt to look at. Shadows that moved against the light. And the voices. Asterisk, get out. Asterisk. The Marines opened fire. Their plasma bolts tore through empty air, until the walls fired back. Not guns. Hands. Spectral, skeletal, ripping through armor like paper. The feed cut with a single, garbled transmission. They're in the metal. Panic spread. Korvax ships broke formation. One destroyer, desperate, activated its deep scans. Big mistake. The crew saw them, human soldiers, long dead, standing shoulder to shoulder in the void outside their viewports. One raised a rifle. The destroyer's core detonated minutes later, its crew having torn each other apart. Korthak realized the truth too late. This wasn't a battle. It was an exorcism. The human ships didn't fight. They remembered. And what they remembered was war. The Grand Admiral gave the retreat order himself. Of the 20 Korvax vessels that entered Sol's Edge, 6 made it out. None intact. The Iron Requiem didn't pursue. It just watched, as if waiting for the next fool to test the dead. The Ixian matriarch's chambers were never meant to hold something like this. The air itself seemed to recoil from the data slug recovered from the Iron Requiem's wreckage, scorched, half-melted, but still whispering. Her attendants had fled. Only the eldest, those with minds hardened by centuries, remained. Even they trembled. The playback began. Not a log. Not a transmission. A memory. A human bridge, bathed in emergency lights, the crew fighting to the last. The captain, face bleeding, uniform charred, gripped the console as the ship came apart around him. "Engineering, give me one more shot." A voice, ragged with pain, crackled back. "We're gone, sir. Just ghosts now." The captain smiled. "Then let's haunt them." The recording didn't show the detonation. It showed the moment after, the nanosecond where 23 human minds refused to let go, where rage and duty crystallized into something that shouldn't exist. The matriarch understood now. This wasn't technology. This was sacrament. The galactic conclave erupted when she presented her findings. The Thull demanded eradication. The Kyrix whispered of quarantine. Only the Ixian remained silent, until the matriarch spoke a single word. "Enough." She rose, her carapace gleaming under the chamber lights. "You fear what you cannot comprehend. But answer this, when the hive swarm comes again, who will stand between them and your nurseries? Your pristine AIs? Your laws?" Silence. The human ambassador, bandages still fresh from the Korvax engagement, didn't smile. Didn't gloat. Just said, "We don't ask for praise. Just room." The vote was unanimous. From that cycle onward, Directive Alpha 9 was etched into every star chart, every first contact protocol. No species shall scan a human warship. Not out of fear. Respect. In the decades that followed, curious xenoscholars would note an anomaly. Human vessels always traveled with empty escort positions in their formation grids, as if saving space. The dead, it seemed, liked to stand in ranks. As for the silent morning, it still drifts in the dark between galaxies, its hull singing with voices no living throat could produce. The Ixian matriarch, in her final testament, left only one relevant passage. "We thought eternity belonged to the stars. The humans proved it belongs to the stubborn." The silent morning hadn't moved in 3 centuries. Drifting beyond the galactic rim, the derelict battleship should have been dead metal by now, a relic for scavengers to pick apart. But the scavengers knew better. Every species had their own name for it. The Korvax called it Karishvo, the ship that dreams. The Ixian referred to it as the final lesson. Humans, when they spoke of it at all, simply said "she's still on patrol." Then the hive swarm returned. Billions of chitinous horrors poured through the Perseus Rift, their advance unstoppable. World after world fell silent. The galactic armada assembled, a desperate coalition of every surviving species, except one. "Where are the humans?" demanded the Kyrix High Chancellor. The Ixian matriarch didn't answer. She was staring at long-range scans. At something moving near the rim. The silent morning had changed course. Aboard the Hive command vessel, the Overmind tasted something new in the void. Not fear, not defiance. Memory. It focused 1,000 eyes on the approaching blip. And scanned. The scream that echoed across the Hive's psychic network shattered entire drone clusters. The Overmind recoiled, its perfect consciousness fracturing under the assault of something impossible. 700,000 voices. Not dead. Angry. The morning didn't fire conventional weapons. It didn't need to. Every Hive ship that looked upon it remembered human boarding parties, remembered plasma burns, remembered how it felt to die screaming under human boots. The memories weren't metaphors. They were contagious. Hive drones turned on each other, their carapaces splitting as phantom wounds became real. Battleships veered into asteroids, crews clawing at bulkheads to escape visions of long-dead Marines. The Overmind itself began to unravel, its great mind infected with a single repeating thought. You should have left us floating. When the galactic armada arrived, they found only wreckage, and the silent morning, drifting peacefully once more. No scans were taken. No boarding parties sent. They simply saluted and left. Some things, the galaxy decided, were better left unquiet. The comms officer aboard the UNS Vigilant didn't believe in ghosts. That changed when the transmission came through. Static first, the usual white noise of dead space. Then a voice, crystal clear despite the centuries-old encryption protocols. This is Captain Elias Vance of the UNS Silent Morning. If you're hearing this, we've engaged the enemy. Every screen on the bridge flickered. The voice continued, calm as a man reading the weather. Asterisk, by now you've seen what we can do. But here's what the galaxy doesn't understand. We're not weapons. We're not even really soldiers anymore. We're a reminder. Asterisk. Sensor logs showed nothing. No ship. No energy signatures. Just the void where the morning had last been recorded. Asterisk. Humanity fights for the living. That's our job. But someone's got to fight for the dead too. Asterisk. The transmission included coordinates. Not in known space. Not even in this dimension, according to the NAV computers. Somewhere else. Admiral Halley's ordered a probe sent. It returned 7 hours later, its cameras showing only darkness at first. Then, movement. Shadows resolving into shapes. Human shapes. Not corpses. Not holograms. Figures. Standing at attention. Ranks upon ranks of them, stretching into the impossible dark. Some in modern armor. Some in uniforms centuries out of date. All waiting. The probe's last image showed a single figure stepping forward, a man in a tattered captain's coat, his face obscured by static. His hand came up in salute. Then the feed cut. Back on the Vigilant, the original transmission kept playing. Asterisk. Tell the living we remember them. Tell the dead, we've got the watch. Asterisk. The comms officer would later swear the static that followed sounded like marching boots. The galaxy would debate what it meant for decades. Humanity knew better. Some ships never really sink. Some soldiers never really stand down. And some wars, they don't end just because the living say so. The silent morning was still out there. Still on patrol. Still counting. The Urkix probe shouldn't have survived. Launched from the last surviving science vessel of a dying race, its creators expected it to perish in the interstellar gales beyond the galactic rim. Instead, it found structure. Not natural. Not alien. Human. The derelict station hung in the abyss like a forgotten sentinel, its angular armor pitted by micrometeorites but otherwise intact. Ancient radiation signatures identified it as pre-Exodus human design, one of their early attempts at extrasolar colonization before they discovered FTL. The probe sensors detected power signatures. Impossible after 12,000 years. Yet light still burned behind viewports. When the Urkix activated the laser comm, the station responded. Asterisk. Identify. Asterisk. The voice was wrong. Too flat. Too assembled from disparate sound clips. The Urkix scientists sent standard first contact protocols. Silence. Then. Asterisk. Stand by for verification. Asterisk. The station's main airlock cycled. Inside, the probe's cameras showed dustless corridors. Preserved. Waiting. At the heart of the station, in what should have been a command center, the Urkix found them. Rows upon rows of upright capsules. Each contained a human skeleton in advanced states of decomposition. Each wired into the station's core via neural filaments finer than spider silk. The central console activated. Asterisk. Verification complete. Welcome home, Lieutenant. Asterisk. The Urkix had no lieutenant. The station didn't care. Systems came online in cascading activation, ancient reactors humming to life, defense grids powering, long-dormant manufacturing forges flaring with nuclear fire. The probe's final transmission showed the station unfolding. Changing. Revealing the truth beneath the false hull, not a colony outpost. A shipyard. One built for a single purpose. As the first new hull took shape in the constructor's grasp, the station broadcast its last message on all frequencies, in every known language, including several not spoken since the Dawn Wars. Asterisk. Reinforcements inbound. Asterisk. The Urkix died 3 solar cycles later when the Hive's second wave consumed their homeworld. Their final observations confirmed 2 facts. First, the station wasn't building ships. It was building coffins. Second, the reinforcements weren't coming for the living. They were mustering for the dead. Somewhere beyond the rim, in the dark between galaxies, something that had been waiting a very long time began counting down. The galaxy would later call it the Revenant Fleet. Humanity called it something simpler. The dead ships arrived at midnight. Not local time, *universal *midnight. Every chronometer in the galaxy reset simultaneously, flashing midnight before stabilizing. By the time engineers finished panicking, the first signatures appeared on long-range scans. Hundreds at first, then thousands. The Ixion deepscopes captured them first, impossible silhouettes gliding through the void without engines, without heat signatures, without time. Human vessels. But not the silent mornings kind. These were older. Much older. The first visual confirmation came from a Kirix border outpost. The security feed showed a massive dreadnought materializing directly atop their orbital platform, not decloaking, not warping in. Simply appearing as if it had always been there. The ship's markings identified it as UNS Winter's Heart, a colony escort lost during humanity's first extrasolar expansion. That was impossible. The Winter's Heart had vanished 800 years ago. Then the broadcasts began. Not on standard comms. Not even on quantum channels. These transmissions pulsed directly into the minds of every sentient being within 100 light-years. Report for muster. The Kirix outpost emptied within hours. Not by evacuation, by enlistment. Crewmen walked directly into the waiting airlocks of dead ships without pressure suits, without hesitation. Security feeds showed them smiling as vacuum froze their lungs. The hive swarm's advance faltered. For the first time in recorded history, the endless chittering chorus of the swarm mind fractured into discernible words. Not war. Not war. Not war. The dead fleet paid no attention. Ship by ship, they assembled into formation patterns no living navy used anymore, antique deployment strategies from humanity's early interstellar wars. A single Ixion probe, drifting near the edge of the gathering, captured the last transmission before its systems failed. All battalions accounted for. Awaiting the old man's word. Then, silence. The galaxy held its breath. On the bridge of the UNS Winter's Heart, a chair that had sat empty for 8 centuries creaked under sudden weight. Fleet Admiral Konstantin Malikov, officially listed as Kia during the first exodus, leaned forward and tapped his comm. His first and only order spanned 12 words. Lay course for the swarm core. Weapons free. No prisoners. The dead fleet jumped as one. Not into warp. Into the past. Temporal shockwaves rippled across the galaxy as they departed. Historians would later note an eerie coincidence. That same instant marked the exact moment the hive swarm's earliest recorded scouts had mysteriously vanished 50,000 years prior. The Winter's Heart never returned. But neither did the swarm's main fleet. Somewhere in the dark, in a war fought across time itself, the dead proved one final truth. Humanity's first draft notice was eternal. And the second draft